Lönnroth, coming from the VGR, Senior Advisor for Sahlgrenska University Hospital, and knowing a lot about those things. Please, there. And also we're going to have the perspective from the industry with our, I say, yeah, we meet so many times now. It's Matti, Ahlqvist, new site director at AstraZeneca here in Mölndal. It's very interesting to hear how you more interact and be part of this ecosystem. Please tell us what are your plans here. We can see a shift here.
Yes, I think we can, and I'm very happy to hear two main things. And one, the government has a strategy for ambition in life science. That's something I think is extremely important, and invite us to give opinions. So just reinforcing that strategy will not be right for us unless we give opinions and make commitments what we will pull to make that happen. And the other is actually realizing that the students that come out of our region need to be fit for future. So I can see some things that I wished happened in our part of the world. And one is that we really strive to world class, that we build strength areas. Did I talk too much? No, I'm back. That we build strength areas that really have the ambition to be world leading. Because I think that is important. That is what's going to make the difference. If we make it kind of good, it's definitely not good enough. And then that we do it together so that we leverage each other. That's extremely important.
Okay, nice to hear that. And Peter, what do you think about everything here today? Now you heard those three other perspectives here.
I think I've heard the message before. Since 2013, the Ingrid Pedersen report told us about more or less the same things as you have in your roadmap. And also the Committee for Clinical Studies in the Research Council has a task to stimulate this process. What we need here is, of course, merging and concentration of the health data system and legislation that allows us more accessibility to these systems. Biobanking, the national biobanks should be merged and concentrated in networks. We need to form regional nodes for clinical research, to form a national node so that we can reach feasibility and large enough volumes for clinical materials and so on. So everyone knows this. Sadly, we have 21 counties organized in 6 health regions that forms this process too slow. So my question to you is, your task is to speed up this process. I don't think that anchoring is enough. Sadly, I think that legislation and incentives should be also added to this process.
So do you have any quick comments on that?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah?
Peter's so right. Of course, there's nothing new in this work. And had it been, I would have been surprised. If it's not about what we're talking about, then I would be really scared. But of course, it's about the legislation and the incentives. It's just that that will not be enough if we don't have the healthcare side on board in then implementing the framework and implementing the work. So everything needs to happen at the same time. And that is, you have to believe in something. And that's where I do think that having a national target and a joint, where we really join forces and shake hands and say, that's a commitment from the government side and from the region side. We say, this is going to happen, we will do this, we will have this action plan over the years, and we will be able to follow up that. I hope that that will contribute actually to the happening.
We can see in the other Nordic countries, Denmark, for instance, early this year, they launched their strategy with 36 bullet points and actions, and it was a true document, so to say. Is that something that you look at?
Of course, and when I came in office, which was in February, I have a lot of contacts, of course, with my Danish colleagues, and I knew that from January that they were going to launch the strategy the coming summer, and then it came in March. Just talk about speed, they talk about summer, and then they exceed that with 3 months. But that strategy, the Danish strategy, is a strategy for the industry and the business side. Solemnly, it's a very good strategy for the industry and the business side. So that they are good at walking fast. But maybe a little bit with the analogy, if we are going to get far from the Swedish perspective, we need a holistic strategy. I do believe that that is something that can be a Swedish stronghold, definitely. But we also need to be able to exceed some parts of the Danish strategy. The one with the quality registers and the biobanks is one of those. I mean, we have, how many biobanks? 200, they have 2. So it's just talking a little bit of how we reorganize the system.
How would your collaboration look like with other Nordic countries?
I think that, as Jenni said, that we are looking at other countries' national strategies for life science, but they have not included the academia properly. So I think that this is a very important part for us to include the education because of the future generation and attract them in. You know, they are very good at digitalization, better than we are, and so on. So I think that I have a discussion with the other countries also, especially in the Nordic countries, to see how we can collaborate about this education and perhaps share courses and so on.
Great. You have something, Matti?
Yes, and I think in that part of the strategy that has to do with industry, to me, I mean, we are a large actor. We're lots of actors in the region. It was one of the main pillars when you did your Mentimeters in sort of coming from industry. We're a large actor. We invest about 15 billion SEK in coming back in Gothenburg each year in life science. So to me, it would make sense from the government and from academia to say we want to mirror the strength areas of AstraZeneca. Even though we're only one actor, we're a strong actor and we can build on each other. So if we have academic strength areas that aim to world class for a long period of time, where we overlap, we can share knowledge, we can help each other, we can leverage each other, and we can rotate people. So that's sort of one of my main inputs to that strategy. Do mirror what we do and where we build strength areas.
So that kind of collaboration with the academy that we had maybe earlier with AstraZeneca when it comes to Cellochem, Losec, Nexium, and so on. Both the healthcare was involved in conducting those industrial investments, so to say.
And it resulted in Sweden's largest export successes, all categories in all times. Let's not forget, and they came out of here.
So is healthcare ready for this again? Do you think so?
Yeah, of course, we've talked about this for several years now, and I dare to provoke Jenni a bit because we have been in those panels for the last, I think, 6 or 7 years. So we heard it before. But I think one key process to make it more faster and to speed up the process is to get a new legislation, one for all, for a generic extra sample for every patient that goes to the university hospital, and build the genomics and the biobanking through this process. We can get access to the phenotype, the biobanks to the genotype, and we can get accessibility to this. I think that's the way to do it. And it's not really just an anchoring process now. It's more, we need to be more forceful, I think, or powerful.
Thank you. So we all know why we have to do this. No question about that. We have some ideas of what we can do. And now, okay, let's do it then. So how are we going to do that? What do you see is the most important targets here or prioritization from your point of view?
I think that the industry is very important here, and we have a very good track record from before in AstraZeneca. And then there has been a time that we have been a little bit afraid to touch the industry. And I think that if you look international, the industry and the academia work much more closely, and we need to come back to this. And perhaps through shared employments and adjunct position and so on, and we are working on this, but we can be better. And also, if we think of the lifelong learning, it's very important that we have this collaboration. So I would really like to invite you and come and to discuss this more concrete terms, because as Peter say, we must make this happen now.
Yes, and I fully agree, and I get actual goosebumps come see through the suit. But I fully agree, that is absolutely what we need. And what we need is, and that's why I'm saying aim for the world class. As an actor, Gothenburg is one of our 3 strategic R&D sites. We spend roughly 1/3 of our R&D assets here in Gothenburg each year. But of course, we locate them where we are best located. And we currently revise. So that interaction, the willingness is very important. Then the ambition level is equally important. So the ambition level needs to be right. And I think that's to some extent where we have deviated and where we've formed collaboration elsewhere in the world that could have been here. So that's something I want to see again.
Great. Thumbs up there. Okay, that sounds great. I think we're going to let you in the audience ask some questions. And while you're thinking of your question here, I just want to include Chalmers here again. And this is a collaboration. I'm just holding a piece of paper here, but it's an invitation, actually. You can find it in our booth, as I said before, Engineering Health. And it's a collaboration between academia and both universities and the healthcare sector here. It's going to be in March. So please take that one, that invitation later on. Okay, so did we have some questions from the audience? Up there, great.
Hi guys, my name is Anna Holmäng. I come from Sahlgrenska School of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. I think it's very important to emphasize in this setting that Sahlgrenska School of Innovation and Entrepreneurship and Chalmers School of Entrepreneurship has had a long-lasting collaboration for several years, where we've been putting our students together, working with industry and working with up to 40 innovation projects every year, both with the hospital, Peter, also with AstraZeneca, Matti, where Magnus Björsne is on our advisory board, Magnus Björsne from BioVenture Hub. And Charlotta, you're also on our advisory board, and we do a lot of projects together with Sahlgrenska Science Park. So when it comes to discussing collaborations like this and developing students with the capability in both engineering and medicine, this is not only just the beginning. We've been working with this for many years, especially parts of Sahlgrenska. And our students are here today, and we have a booth in the exhibition, and we are always looking for further collaboration with the industry, because we have quite a substantial industry network. So I think that that's a very important point to make in this discussion. And you're very welcome to contact us and talk more about the very interesting projects that we're doing together with our students. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Did you have a question maybe to the panelists? I didn't really hear that.
No. At this stage, I really just wanted to emphasize that, because I think that this is a very important crowd that needs to know about the important work that's being done between Chalmers and Sahlgrenska in relation to this.
And you have a lot of excellent students. We know that through our collaboration. And it's really fascinating to bring in the students to different focus groups and different issues and so on. So maybe one question here that I heard before, and everyone is thinking of that maybe. So what the color of our government, or if it's going to be a color, I don't know. But what do you think? Will this really conflict the pathway, the roadmap ahead of the life science strategy?
I can give you my personal view,
Please
not
do.
answering for the governmental offices. I can give you my personal view. From my perspective, and with all the dialogues that I have with the different type of politicians, I see that both from the Social Democrat side and the Alliance side, there is a very profound knowledge that the life science industry and this area is extremely important for Sweden. So I fear not that the investments will not continue in this area and that life science strategy will be important. Then when it boils down to details, what you put emphasis on and really how you do it, that of course may differ because that is politics. I don't fear that. What I do see as problematic is if it would take very long time before we have a government. That will of course challenge this work.
So then maybe to be a little bold from our region and to do some things now.
And that is also,
not ask so much, maybe.
Politics is not only on the national side, really on the regional side. And what I think that we need to do much more is to look at the Nordics and then start within Sweden for the regions to join forces. We need to make really big investments. I mean, in the new infrastructures going towards precision medicine. How do we do it so that we don't duplicate, but really build on the strengths from the different regions? And that also boils to academia, of course. I mean, how do we? How can the other academic institutions around Sweden work together with the Sahlgrenska Academy on this new way moving forward?
There is a number of things that we can do regardless of political sort of main directions. So I want the main directions, I want the big investments, I want the strength areas that mirror ours, but there are also things we can do in co-location. You mentioned Bioventure Hub as a good example, and I fully agree. I think it is a perfect example. I'm very happy about the plans here at Sahlgrenska Science Park and Sahlgrenska University in building Sahlgrenska Life. And I'm also extremely happy about GoCo, that bought land south of AstraZeneca, that are building a life science cluster. And I think all this plays to the clustering effect. Different disciplines that can have leverage, that can have 1 + 1 = 42. That type of thinking can be extremely powerful, and regardless of any political decisions, that's stuff that we can do today. I have 3 spaces at AstraZeneca Gothenburg that make sense to be placed at us. Please come.
Okay, so good pitch there too. So what is your pitch from VGR?
I'd just like to say that let's not forget that we formed the Gothia Forum together with AstraZeneca and Pfizer's and MSD just to form this regional node for clinical research. And that was really the prototype for the national theme in this area. So I think we are on the road, but it's too slow.
And I do think that the clinical studies Sweden, I mean the new reinforcement, that is a really important starting point in building our strengths in this area, definitely.
You just mentioned before here the national efforts in bringing up data factoring within AI is situated here at Lindholmen. AI Innovation of Sweden, it's called. And one of the 4 areas there is life science. And what I know, we're going to use some data from Skapis studien here from Gothenburg, which is a unique study. So before we take in more questions, I'm going to ask you for the Mentimeter, because I think we need to interact a little bit. Just hold on. Okay, a short one while we put our mobile phones
You know what? We have been discussing how do we prepare the students. Here we have an excellent engaged women in global health. Please, I forgot your name. I heard all you said. You're engaged. And how on earth are we all in Sweden going to prepare for those? That is the question. And that will bring co-action, for sure. Please, tell your name. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. I think you will like each other. So, okay. Go into the menti.com there, and you have the code again, and you're prepared. So, after listening to the panel here, what message do you have to the National Life Science Strategy? Isn't that good to bring
so
home?
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we know last questions you answered over 200. So please go on. Okay, coaction. Well, I think we set a new name here. Yeah. Speed. Quality, opportunity. What do you see, Jenni?
And if one can comment while it goes
of
moves
course.
along, it's and as Matti so great pointed out, that it's the government doesn't have any action. I mean, the government can set a framework and framework conditions in order and to join forces, but it's not getting any better than the input from the sector in this work, and with their responsibility from the sector in doing it, putting it forward. But of course, there's some things that are mandated to the government, and that's legislation and how we run the governmental agencies. And I think that there's even more that can be done in that respect also. We have very concrete input also on that side.
So given 200 answers, and those of you sending out market analysis and so on, it takes quite a lot of time to get 200 answers, doesn't it? So this is a great way to do it, I think. Action is definitely in the center. Yeah. So maybe you could do that in small steps. Maybe we could start here.
Why small?
Huh?
Why small steps, I think.
Why small steps? Good, I like that. Up. Well, I'm very modest. So, well, I like that. And we have a lot of people here hearing us saying this now. Why small steps? We take large steps now, finding those areas of strengths here in this region and taking and going forward. So do we have any other questions from the industry, entrepreneurs, from the startup community here? What do you want to see? Well, you say it here, of course. Oh, look here, over almost 300 answers. Well, what I also got a question about here before was not only how we're going to make it. I think maybe you were talking about different sites where we can interact and where we can meet and make this happen and discuss. Yeah, we have AstraZeneca Bioventure Hub. GoCo is a new area. We're going to hear more about that in the afternoon. Sahlgrenska Science Park, of course, and I think the collaboration as between is very important. So please come with your input so we can act.
Can I also just, on this action piece and on the thought, I think some of this action came up in making health data available for research. So making it understandable, making it available. Everybody knows that it should be done, and there is some ambition to do it. The progress is slow, and I understand it's difficult. But I think the fact that it's difficult, it's not really an excuse to make it slow. I think sometimes it's easier to just rip the plaster off. So I'm fully with you, Peter, on the legislation part of that. The other thing there is, data is not the only asset in a hospital. Patients are assets, patients' opinions, market research, or just co-creation of innovation with patients, co-creation of innovation with healthcare practitioners. And for industry, having access to patients for things that has nothing to do with patient safety, nothing to do with private integrity, is still enormously difficult. And there is still a fear of kind of touch points between industry and academia, and even more so between industry and care providers. So use that asset that you have in the hospitals for also commercial value. We will eventually have access to patients because we're big and we have many contacts and we can afford to work on it for a long time. The small entrepreneurs cannot. So what if there was an open setting whereby any private actor signed to certain simple rules that they will obey, and they get access to patients of their preference, or healthcare providers of their preference, or physicians, if only for a couple of hours, to do market analysis or to test a prototype or to co-innovate?
Would that be a possibility?
Probably, yes. If the legislation is admissible, yes. I think the Gothia Forum was formed in that ambition, really. I think that those regional nodes, again, should be seen as service providers and not gatekeepers to health data and biobank material. That's at least my ambition.
That sounds great, I think. So we have the first project then, yeah? A small, to form those groups. Yeah, and to look at us...
I was very happy to.
Yeah, great. So look at us as the resource for your business to move forward, yeah? And, well, we heard about all those actions now, and we have some question here. Good, from the startup community.
Yeah, hi, my name is Peter Kurzweil, and I'm representing the startup industry, but we also have a startup within Sahlgrenska Science Park that does fantastic work for us. But the thing is that's really interesting is in this region, in the Västra region, is that you get the recommendation from within the region and from actors circling the region that don't go there. Don't touch Västra regionen. Go to another region in the country because we're a small startup. We want to move fast. And the processes within Sahlgrenska and within the region are so slow. So we are actually recommended to go to Region Skåne or Halland or Jönköping for that matter. So we're not able to act within our own region to speed up the process. And we're a really small startup of 3 people working with prevention care. And that's a huge problem for us. So what responsibility lies on the region to take actions on that part?
Peter, what do you say?
I know that Gothia Forum has grown so rapidly, so there have been slow processes there, but we are actually working on it. So hopefully we can meet your questions and
yeah,
with good service forward. Yeah.
And now also we're working closely together with this collaboration group where we gather the resources for startup community, such as innovation platform within VGR, which is actually also testing products in the setup of the healthcare system.
And to add on that, I think that might not be the case, but it's a heritage and a legacy that remains from maybe a few years back. Yeah. But that's still the recommendation, even within people working for the region, within the Västra region, that are recommending us to go to other places.
Well, test us.
Yeah. But that's still, it's easier when at the first meet we have with the region and they tell us to go to another region, okay, then we'll have to go there. So I think it's a big communicational challenge as well for the region to actually reach out, because we're so happy for Sahlgrenska, or especially for Sahlgrenska Science Park, but we want to get into Sahlgrenska as well, but that's really hard.
I think that this particular example, we need to have a talk about this, because the region, is 40,000 people, so I need to know who you've spoken to. And
there will be plenty of time to have a discussion. Is it
the innovation platform? Is it the hospital? Is it the Gothia Forum?
It's everyone.
No.
But we heard here, the willingness is here, and the courage also, and the leadership. So we're looking forward to that. Well, ending with this, I think we give this panel a big applause.